Welcome to The Explainer. So let's just jump right in, shall we? Today, we're unpacking a topic that quite literally affects every single one of us. We are going to look at the actual science of how to build consistency without relying on that fleeting, unpredictable feeling of hype. If you've ever felt like you just can't stick to a new habit, you're definitely going to want to pay close attention to the frameworks we're breaking down for you today.
I mean, how many times have you decided, okay, this time I'm starting fresh? You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's that rush where you buy a brand new notebook, you map out this entire 2.0 version of yourself for the new year, and you feel absolutely unstoppable. But then, somehow, exactly 3 days later, you're right back on the couch scrolling on your phone as if absolutely nothing happened. It's incredibly frustrating, right?
Well, think of it this way. Motivation is great. It shows up dramatically, gives a speech, and then quietly disappears without paying rent. I absolutely love this metaphor because it completely validates the struggle. If your life feels stuck right now, I need you to know it's not because you didn't want it badly enough. It's because you handed the control of your life over to a totally unreliable feeling. You essentially handed the keys to something that only shows up when it feels like it.
All right, Section 1, the motivation trap. Why hype fails us.
And that leads right into Section 2, why goals exhaust you, decision fatigue versus default settings. 100. We've basically been conditioned our entire lives to just worship goals. Lose weight, make money, be more consistent. It all sounds really great, and writing it down feels super productive. But here's the reality of what actually happens. Every single goal you set comes with 100 tiny decisions attached to it. Should I start right now? Should I skip today? Is today an exception because I'm just so tired? What about tomorrow? Making a choice physically requires energy.
This is exactly why you might feel completely unstoppable at 6 a.m., but entirely unserious by 9 p.m. Why? Because over the course of the day, your brain simply gets exhausted from deciding. When you lose steam at night, guys, that's not a mindset issue. It is pure biology. Your brain hates decision fatigue, and by the end of the day, it's just tapped out.
Notice the massive difference in these two approaches. Goals are incredibly demanding. They constantly nag you, asking, can you stay strong forever? They require you to white-knuckle your way through life. Systems, on the other hand, ask a much, much smarter question. How do we make this the default setting? Goals might give you a direction to head in, for sure, but it's your systems that actually decide what happens on a Tuesday morning.
Which brings us to Section 3, the 4 core systems. This is all about hijacking your existing wiring.
So, what actually is a system? Well, simply put, it's something that removes the need to think. It's not some super strict routine or a color-coded timetable that falls apart if you're 5 minutes late. No, it's a structure that does the heavy lifting for you. For example, saying, I'll try to work out daily requires thought, but having your workout clothes sitting right next to your bed and an alarm that automatically pulls up a workout video, now that is a system. It works because the decision was already made before your morning emotions even woke up and chose resistance. Your brain loves systems because they require less thinking, way less uncertainty, and minimal effort.
System 1 is identity. There is a world of difference between saying, I'm trying to be disciplined, and saying, I don't negotiate with the basics. The way you talk about yourself matters vastly more than your plans do. If you're constantly walking around saying, yeah, I'm just someone who struggles with consistency, your actions will quietly align to make sure that stays true. But if you adopt the latter mindset, you're the exact same person, but you're generating entirely different behavior.
Think of it like this. Identity is your phone's operating system. Your habits, they're just the apps. If you completely change the underlying operating system of a device, every single app on that phone is going to run entirely differently. You have to change how you identify first, and the habits will just naturally follow the programming.
And that leads us to System 2, what you see controls you. This one is huge because it's all about your environment. Here is the hard truth. Your physical surroundings have far more influence over your actions than your good intentions ever will. If junk food is sitting right there, visible on the counter, it's going to end up in your stomach. If your phone is resting right next to your keyboard, your focus is basically going to evaporate.
So how do we fix that? We rearrange the room to dictate the behavior automatically. Leave your phone outside the bedroom so you literally can't scroll at night. Keep your work tools in plain sight so they actually draw you in. Distractions should be hidden. They don't necessarily need to be deleted, just out of sight. The rule here is incredibly simple. If you can see it, it pulls you in. If you can't see it, it loses its power. You change the physical space and the behavior automatically follows. You're completely removing the need for willpower. Moving on to System 3.
Make starting ridiculously easy. Here is a totally fascinating insight into human psychology. Most tasks actually aren't that hard to do. It's the act of starting them that feels impossible. Your brain doesn't actually resist the effort of the work. It resists the friction of beginning the work. So the goal is to make starting feel significantly easier than stopping.
This is the laughably small principle in action. Instead of saying, I need to sit down and work for 2 solid hours, you just tell yourself, I'm just going to open the laptop. Instead of writing a whole chapter, you commit to writing 1 single sentence. Instead of an intense full-body workout, you just do 1 push-up. It sounds kind of silly, but once you start, momentum naturally takes over. Your brain actually hates unfinished business, so by bypassing that initial friction with a laughably small task, you're literally tricking yourself into doing the real work.
Okay, Section 4. The Quick Recovery Rule. Subtitle: What you do when you inevitably mess up.
Never miss twice. Look, you are going to miss days. You're going to break your streaks. That is a completely normal part of the human experience. But the defining difference between people who actually achieve their goals and the people who quit, it's what happens immediately following a failure. People who succeed skip the dramatic internal speeches, they avoid the whole downward spiral, and they simply hit reset.
For instance, missed your morning workout? Fine, go walk for 5 minutes. Skipped your deep work session? Just go write a single bullet point. If you totally messed up your diet today, do not wait until next Monday to start over. Resume your system the very next hour. You never, ever turn one slip-up into a personality trait. Consistency isn't about being perfect. It's entirely about the speed of your recovery.
Which brings us to Section 5, your blueprint for consistency. Boring setups repeated daily.
Okay, here is your actual 5-step blueprint so you can put this into practice today. Step 1, pick just 1 life area to focus on. Not 10, please don't try to overhaul your whole life at once. Step 2, figure out exactly where things usually break down for you. Step 3, automate or pre-decide that decision so you don't even have to think about it in the moment. Step 4, make the action almost laughably small. Like we said, if it feels too easy, that means it's perfect. And finally, Step 5, track showing up, not the results. Systems grow on visibility. Remember, big, massive life changes do not come from heroic, exhausting efforts. They come from these boring, simple setups repeated every single day.
So I want to leave you with this. Instead of waking up and asking, do I feel like it today? Start asking yourself, what does my system say? Build the system once, let it run on autopilot, and finally stop waiting for motivation to save you. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I'm curious, what invisible system is currently running your life? And what is it going to cost you if you don't rewrite that code today?